Hi, my name is David Page. Today I'd like to show a technique for blending between two materials, or blending a mask. And as you can see, with this technique we can control the blending in quite a nice way. So I'd like to show how to achieve this effect. So I'm going to turn off my example there. I'm going to create it from scratch. So firstly I'll add a fill layer. That's going to be the top material. It's going to be on the top of this object. I'm just going to make it green. Turn off the channels that I'm not using. Give it some roughness. Add some height. Call this coat. Now I add a black mask. And then I add a paint mask, which is going to, we're going to isolate the top. The way I've set this mesh up, I've got two UV islands, one for the top and one for the bottom, so I can use the polygon fill, selecting by UV chunk, and then just click on the top one. So as we can see, the edge is quite hard, but we want it to be smoothed and using a texture. So the way to achieve the smoothing is with a blur node. So we go add filter, blur. But we can see that the blurring is actually extending into the top. So we want to use a levels to crunch that down. So we add levels and we crunch down the whites so that you can see that it now goes from here to here, and the blur doesn't affect the top. And I also find that with this technique it helps to push the midpoint somewhat to the left. Now we add our grunge texture, so we add a fill layer. For my texture I used grunge dusty powder, so drag that in. For this to work properly we want to use an overlay blend mode, so you can see that we're already getting on the right track now. Something I also find helpful is to increase the tiling amount, to add a bit more detail. Now this surface here, we call this the top, which is it's the top of the object. Depending on how you do your settings, you may notice some leaking at the top. If you adjust this, see how there's some leaking. Just to make sure that doesn't happen, I like to make a copy of the top and bring that to the top. This way, if we adjust the settings, we won't get any leaking at the top. And finally, I add a levels. So this is going to select either one material or the other. So if I move this sort of to the midpoint, roughly where I want the cutoff to happen, and then change the midpoint, you can see that the cutoff happens there. Might adjust the tiling a little bit more. There we go. And then we can see the end result by adjusting the blur node. Thank you.